Okay. Hey, everybody. For those of you that don't know, I think everybody knows me. I'm Winnie Rogers. This is Wealth Building Wednesday. Once a month, I basically bring, because I want to learn more ways to make money. Anybody else want to learn more ways to make money? Cool. So that's what Wiley's like, yes. That's why once a month, I bring in an outside guest that is not like maybe they're using real estate, but in maybe a creative way. So we've had crypto investors, real estate investors here. We've had Airbnb. We've had like flippers, traditional investing. So we're going to have obviously other things. If you have other content ideas or people that you think are just doing something really rad at a high level, let me know and we'll bring them to come on later. But Destiny is from South Dakota, and she's a member of the Keller Williams Young Professionals. So I know you guys know that that's kind of my thing. But I've met Destiny probably a couple times, but it was really cool because Destiny was actually on a panel in Nashville. I guess it was like 2 or 3 weeks ago, where I got to hear just more and more about her story. And she was nominated for NAR's 30 Under 30, which is kind of a really effing big deal, and did purchase 30 investment properties in 3 years and is now, I believe, up to 48, but we will have Destiny talk more about that. I'm going to literally like interview style, and then we can do Q&A at the end. But like I said, your South Dakota realtor connection. Destiny, tell us a little bit about yourself besides what I didn't already share.
Yeah, so hello everyone. Is everybody pretty much realtors?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So hello, my name is Destiny. I've been in real estate for just over 6 years. I got licensed when I was in college, and I fell into real estate investing from kind of a little bit of two things. I moved away and bought a property, and I got a random realtor.com lead that was an investor that really just helped educate, or I forced myself to be educated on it so I could work with this person. So I didn't sound like an idiot when I was talking to him. So I just made myself sound like the expert. And now I'm at 38 properties. I'll be closing on another one on Tuesday, 38 doors. And then I've learned a lot through partnerships and who not to partner with and what I should be looking for in partners. I'll actually be offloading about 6 of those doors here soon to get full ownership of another property. So I have a few business partners. I own a few by myself. But other than that, I live in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. So I always joke it's the place with population. I have 2 dogs, and I'm obsessed with KWYP and real estate. So I'm trying to think of like other cool hobbies that I have. And really it's designing Airbnbs for my clients and investing in property. So like those are the hobbies that I've been able to find. Oh, and I guess I do have a hobby. I'm a power lifter. Okay. That is an odd hobby, but that's about it. I do real estate and I lift. That's about it. So
awesome. So tell us about your real estate business first. Like how is it structured? Do you have a team? All that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so I did everything wrong of creating a team, just like everybody else, few years ago. And then I finally been able to build a really decent foundation. I sell personally about 75 to 80 properties a year. And the reason I focus on selling is because that is what helps me focus on investing. If I don't have the cash from selling, then I can't put the cash into investing. And so I'm pretty passionate about that. But right now we're actually experiencing some awesome changes. We just partnered with Place, if you guys have heard of them. So we just partnered, and as of June 1st, the partnership went live. So
that's exciting.
Yeah, I'm excited. It's scary, but exciting. We're going to be working on expanding the team because I want to focus more on investing and helping investors. So I'll talk about how I do both as well as we kind of go through this.
Okay, cool. And do you have agents on your team? Do you have like operations staff?
Yeah, so yeah, I guess I could have said that too. I have my director of operations, and then I have a cyberbacker who is fantastic. They both are. My director of operations has been with me for almost 4 years. She's been with me pretty much since I was, I'm going to say, a solo agent. Um, and then I now have 2 agents on my team. So one started with me in January, and one started with me about 3 weeks ago. So we're hopefully, I'd like to grow about 2 to 3 more by the end of the year.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so let's switch gears and really start talking about what is in your portfolio right now, like what type of investments currently.
Yeah, actually, Becca Ellis just texted me yesterday. I need to respond to her. She asked me, what is my buy box? And a lot of people have a very strict buy box. I do not. If it's a good deal and it's something I believe in, I'm going to figure it out. And so I guess, I don't know if you heard when I was talking, Winnie, in Nashville, it's like, I had a really weird mindset of what got me into investing. And it's like, if I'm going to file bankruptcy, I'm going to do it when I'm young. So then by the time I'm in my mid 30s, I can start buying again. But commercial lenders don't care that much as long as you can pay it back. But I'm very aggressive with my investing, and I do a lot of, this is also why I haven't done a lot out of state, because I'm very education based. I know where Sioux Falls is going to develop. I know the neighborhoods I need to spend my money in, and I know that I'm going to see a return. And that's why I'd like to expand a little bit outside of Sioux Falls. And I'm coming to Charleston here soon.
Yeah, I know you're coming here next week.
Yeah, I'm actually going next week. And so I'd like to expand, but I'm very education based. So as long as I know that it's a good deal, I currently have Airbnbs. I have long-term rentals. I have Section 8. I've invested in mobile homes, not my favorite, but there's money there. I know there is. You just have to have the time for it, and I just don't have the time. And I've done flips.
Do you have any land too, Destiny?
I have 2 lots.
Okay, cool.
Right now, I like land. Actually, that's really how I like lots. I don't want to say land, like I don't own acres and acres of land, which you can. We've got a lot of opportunity here in South Dakota. All we have is land. But I really like lots downtown, because our downtown is exploding. We're actually doubling in size in the next 4 years. Our downtown itself is.
Well, that was one of the things when I was in Nashville listening to you, I was like, oh, there's definitely like random 0.2 acre vacant lots in honestly crappy parts of Charleston. We all know, or areas that maybe are like up and coming that like just snag them up real quick. And so that was one of the things that like
hold on to them. Yeah. They don't have an expensive hold cost. Sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you, Winnie. Like I bought so how I started with that is I actually had an investor who wanted to put an offer on a lot that was listed for 30,000. And I never even saw it. I don't know why. And he's like, Destiny, put an offer in for 5,000. I was like, sure. What is this going to hurt? It's been listed for 2 years at $30,000. They countered at 15. And he's like, I don't want it anymore. And I was like, can I buy it? Like, do you care? And so that's actually where I'm sitting right now. I built my house on this $15,000 lot, and my house is worth almost 500 now. So
incredible. I just got like
view of downtown is phenomenal. And so I was like, there's opportunity here. So then I picked up a lot across the street for 10,000. I picked up another lot that I can put a duplex on for 14,000. And I know of 2 lots right now that I keep telling myself, you just need to submit an offer on. I can get them for $32,000 a piece on the main road coming into downtown. So that's really, I think that's kind of like, I'll call it my retirement, the lots.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah, because you can just hold on to them because in theory they have low carrying costs.
Well, yeah, very low.
So whenever you're looking at your buy box, what are some of the tools? I didn't prep you with this question, but what are some of the tools that you use in order to analyze, or some of the resources that you use to analyze the properties so that you know like which ones, okay, I'm going to offer on? Yeah.
So I use AirDNA for Airbnb.
Okay. Yep.
And I would not. So when it comes to AirDNA, you have to be a little careful. I know some people have like given some like negative feedback on it, but I think you're just not doing enough research. You can't solely rely on one resource. For example, I actually hire an Airbnb manager, and she has her own website. So she's Sodac Stays. And if you book through Sodac Stays, then AirDNA doesn't get your stats, right?
Okay.
And so you don't have the most accurate stats, especially with these companies that are coming in and you can book directly, instead of going with Airbnb. And so what I use on there is I actually just use the comparable properties more than anything. I'm
On
like,
AirDNA.
yeah, on AirDNA,
Okay.
because it's going to pull all of your comparables. Just like you're doing a CMA, you can pull your competition in Airbnb. How can I make my property better? Because like the average daily rate, that's going to be fairly accurate. Your average daily rate is going to be accurate. What's not going to be accurate is potentially the occupancy percentage.
Okay.
And that's due to the fact, like when my Sodac Stays, when they book, it's usually like they're booking for a month or two out. So they're getting it for a longer term stay. So the occupancy rates are just not very accurate sometimes in AirDNA, unless that Airbnb person isn't using a direct booking system. So I like using AirDNA, but you do have to just make sure you're doing more research than just relying on one website. Does that
Okay,
make
cool.
sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. Did you have a question, Lauren? Yeah.
Yeah, can you ask her about Mashvisor? I mean, why did you say that?
Are you familiar with Mashvisor? I've seen that before.
I've seen it, but I have not used it.
Okay.
Is it for Airbnb?
It is. I have a Airbnb client using it right now and paying the premium, so I just was trying to get somebody with more experience.
Did you hear that, Destiny?
Yeah, so something, all I heard was something about annual premium.
Oh, I have a client, an Airbnb client right now who's paying the premium version of this Mashvisor.
Oh,
So I was just trying to get, if you knew anything about it.
Yeah, let me look it up because I'm always interested in other websites too. Mashvisor.
That and Airbnb.
she's using Mashvisor and AirDNA.
Oh, okay.
And
So
I know
my-
like,
oh,
go ahead.
sorry. Okay, so my Airbnb manager, she uses a different one as well. So I use AirDNA because I use it. What I like on there is I can plug in an address and it actually gives me an estimated cap rate for that specific property.
Is there a cap rate that you go for, Destiny?
Everybody loves a 10. At Airbnb, I probably don't go lower than an 8.5 to a 9 because like my Airbnb manager is better than like the standard one. And so I know I can make more money. And so I'll go with an 8 if Airbnb is telling me 8, but that's when I use the comparable properties because they're giving me an average daily rate. For example, I just flipped a property next door to me and the buyer's agent on my team, his parents are buying it. And so when I'm actually going to give them the whole Airbnb spiel tonight, and the average daily rate was quite low. But when I was looking at comparable properties, as long as we can fit X amount of beds, which we can in the property, we're actually going to make more than a comparable one because we're in a better location. Because I did my research on development, we're closer to downtown, we're a more unique property. More unique properties do better in Airbnb.
Sure.
We're going to add a hot tub. We're going to add the extra resources. So I know we'll make more money than that. So instead of giving me the one that's auto-generated from AirDNA, I like to be conservative, so I'll average the two. But I think they're thinking like, because AirDNA is all stats. So thinking about just like Zillow, you have to do your additional research. We are not using our Zestimates. Actually, if you use a Zestimate in South Dakota, you'd be off by probably over 25%, 99% of the time, which is really nice how far off it is. But it's similar to that. It's all stats, but I'd be interested to know what that is, because I know some people are using 2 sites, which I think is better. You have to really do your multiple research.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we have an Airbnb coach that's actually going to be speaking at the KWYP Triad, KWYP Carolinas regional thing. And I'm going to have him back here in Charleston as well, you guys. So his name is Cullen Tate. You can find him on Instagram. It's Host Coach. And so he was a great resource. He mentioned AirDNA and a few other sites that he uses. He also wrote a book with his wife. So they literally are like full-time Airbnb coaches, and like that's what they do now. So and then what are some of the resources that you use like for your long-term investments in addition? So we talked kind of about the land, like knowing what the development is happening, and that's kind of your long play. And then Airbnb, we talked about some of that, but what about like your long-term investments? What are some of the resources that you're using?
Yeah. Okay. I want to kind of touch base on the land again on like educating. So what I'm able to do is I go to city planning and development, and they'll give me a free tour. Actually, ask Jay. Jay's been on the free tour in Sioux Falls.
Cool.
He got to see a buffalo, but so the city planning wants to hand out their information. And they always just don't do it in the most easy way. But if you reach out to city planning, they'll kind of tell you where how many building permits, where they're spending, and where those building permits are being spent. That's where I spend my money. Okay, back to long term.
Okay, love that resource. Thank you. Go on.
And so long term, I use Zillow rentals, just to see how long it's being on there for, what it's being rented. I'm in a much smaller community, so chances are I might even know the owner, and I'll know a lot of the property managers. And so we only have 4 or 5 actually property management companies. So I don't have to go very far to find it. And we're, like I said, we're only 250,000 people. So if you stick to a niche in a pocket, you tend to you pick up on it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Looking at what the biggest thing that we're dealing with rentals now is all the apartments building the accommodations. Everybody's putting in a pool that they only can use 2 months out of the year in South Dakota. And that's been our biggest thing, is like, but people also like their privacy. And so I like to invest more in single family. I'm not much of I'll do maybe a duplex. I don't like the large units, because why would they stay? I can't charge a premium if I don't have a pool, if I don't have a sauna, if I don't have a gym, and I don't want to put those things in. They're expensive.
Okay, cool. Let's talk a little bit about how you finance, because y'all were way over my head when we were in Nashville. So you obviously have some great relationships. You have some commercial stuff. You have some not. Tell us kind of how you structure those.
Yeah. So as a real estate agent, lenders don't always love us. We become just more difficult, and I don't like getting my taxes done on time. They always get done every year. I promise. Pay my taxes. I'm just really bad at getting them done on time, because I have so many moving pieces all of the time. My tax person loves me and hates me at the same time. But for financing, I pretty much do all commercial. And so for me, and I would recommend talking to a very local person when it comes to commercial. And I didn't want to say this, but my commercial rates are about 1% lower to over 1% lower than standard investment rates right now. And so everybody's heard the whole spiel on interest rates. I expect them to come down in the next 3 to 5 years. So I'm okay signing a balloon. I actually give me a balloon, because I'm going to be ready to refinance anyway. Or I'm going to take the equity out of it and then purchase something else. Because I like being able to do that as well. Because that's how my commercial lender initially sold me on him, is I can snowball it. So I kind of create this portfolio loan with them, and I can borrow against my current properties to buy new ones without any money out of pocket. And so that's what I was able to do. I just purchased 7 townhomes with 2 friends, and I didn't have any money out of pocket for the down payment. So, and we're able to flip all of those. So having no money is the best way to do it for me.
We have a question in the back. Yeah. I'll repeat it.
Amazing information. Can you start at the beginning of your investing, how you
Did
I
you hear
heard.
that, Destiny? So,
Yep.
okay, cool.
So my first one, and I always tell people your first investment property, I was 21. So it really made sense for me to buy something small and make it an investment property after. So I always tell people start small. And Kelly Henderson said this too. And I was like, oh, you're my spirit animal. Like she's preaching it too, is don't move up too fast. And that's what I did when I built this, because now I'm in my dream home and I'm never moving again. But I bought my first house for 120,000 and it was right next to a college campus, but I bought it with the South Dakota housing. So I had no money out of pocket. My down payment was actually covered by South Dakota. I had $800 out of pocket with 20% down. So my mortgage was almost nothing. And I had a roommate that paid my entire mortgage. So I house hacked. And then I actually moved to Indianapolis I was a TL for a hot second. Love that story. And I purchased a house there for 79,000, but I didn't want to lose my South Dakota housing loan, because if I were to purchase another primary residence, I would have lost all of my down payment assistance that I got, and I had to be there for so long. So I actually used a second home mortgage. So I had 10% down on that one. And so I had money saved up from being in real estate and doing fairly well. And so I put 10% down on that. And then my little adventure didn't turn out how I wanted it to. So I moved home, but I rented out my place at home. So I was homeless, and I had my place in Indy, but it was rented out for $1,200 a month.
That's a good return.
So I did pretty well. I bought it for 79, rented out for 1,200, and I only put about 3,500 into it with paint and carpet. So I did pretty well on that one. But because I was broke and moving 1,000 miles in 2 years back and forth, I actually sold that property and I made $25,000 because I sold it to a fellow agent. And so that one ended up just being kind of my first like oopsie flip. Just because I needed the cash. And so it really lit something under me to keep going. And so I then started working with the right people. And it took me probably another year just to kind of build my business back up, because I had to rebuild after moving. And then COVID hit, and COVID did really well for my business. Everybody wanted to move to South Dakota, which I think you guys probably experienced similar things. You guys are just a little warmer, but I got introduced to my commercial lender, and I just started saving a lot of money, and I refinanced my first house so then I could purchase my primary. And that's when I bought this, or I built this. And so, but I built this in a very specific location because I wanted to rebuild everything around it. So I'm on a street where people would not want to walk at night. But if you go directly behind me is a house that just sold for $850,000. And in our average price point here in South Dakota is $300,000. So there was a gap between, I have downtown right behind me and I have $1 million house. And then I'm in this really weird area. And so I was like, well, opportunity. And so I started buying everything around me. I got some business partners. I purchased 2 places with hard money. So so what I like with commercial lending is with regular lending, you need like a gift letter, and it has to be from like your mom or your dad or something like that. Where commercial, my guy doesn't ask any questions. My hard money lenders just deposit the $50,000 into the bank account, and I have a separate agreement with my hard money lender. So as long as they don't require to be the first lien on the property, they sometimes want to be the second. I've only had one guy want to be the second lien. I will then be able to purchase things with no money out of pocket. And then I can also utilize a commercial construction loan. So similar to like a rehab loan, some people call it. I borrow 20% of the purchase price, but then I get paid for a full appraisal, and I'm able to borrow up to 80% of the after repair value towards the rehab.
And how close are you with your attorneys that write some of these agreements for you?
So Let's just say I did it wrong. We all do it wrong once. But now my attorney is my best friend. And so I would say when you're creating LLCs, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not giving you legal advice. But if you're a control freak like me, make sure you're the manager. I was not the manager on 2 of the properties. And so if I wanted to sell them, I could not.
And that's in the operating agreement, right?
That's in your operating agreement and when you create your LLC. You guys aren't title state, right?
Correct. We're an attorney state.
Yeah, and we're a title state, so things are maybe a little bit different there too. But because we don't have just lawyers everywhere.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, I was like, we don't. Lawyers, like honestly, some lawyers don't even want to touch real estate. And I don't like to talk to all lawyers that want to touch real estate anyway. I think we all
that's fair.
deal with that. But I would say find a lawyer that can just pop out your operating agreements and create a deal with them. Like if you're creating operating agreements left and right, like I have been in the last 2 years, you shouldn't be paying $1,000 to $1,200 an operating agreement. It should be cheaper than that.
Yeah. So do you do an LLC and an operating agreement for each property?
So depending on who the owner is, so I have Discovery Investments, that's the parent company. And so Discovery Investments then it becomes an owner of these LLCs. So if that makes sense. So Destiny Marshall.
So you have an umbrella company called Discovery Investments, and then each LLC is within that. Is that correct?
Mhm.
And for each LLC, a property attached to each LLC.
Yeah, and it really depends. So like I have one business partner. We own 2 properties together. They're both long-term rentals. So I have both of those properties in one LLC because I don't need to have 150 LLCs. And this is everybody's legal risk that they want to take. Like I said, not a lawyer, talk to a lawyer. A lot of them will say get one per unit. I like to do them. If I had the same owners, I would do one LLC per style that I am managing it. So for example, if I'm doing an Airbnb, I'm gonna have a separate LLC versus long-term rentals. I don't want those in the same.
Okay, in the same pool.
In the same pool, yeah. And honestly, like it's really your only choice. Some people keep them all under one LLC. I have multiple business partners and I don't want one business partner to ruin my other things. So especially if you're doing business partners, do not like keep that separately.
Yeah. And how do you pick some of your joint business partners? Is it just people that are like, hey, I got some money, you can be the manager? Because you said that you won't like to be the manager. Is that kind of part of it, or what other vetting process do you go through?
So this is another thing I've messed up on. If you guys want to, I should do a whole book on everything I've messed up on. I became business partners with people I shouldn't have in the last year. They spent $50,000 over our rehab budget and I have no idea where that money went on 2 properties. So that's a lot of money. But I learned a lot. We didn't lose money on the properties, thank goodness. And we're still going to do just fine. But what I would say is I've heard this before, and like, sorry if this is like not the best choice of words, but get into bed, like you are getting into bed with these people. So you want to know their personal financials. That is something I wish I would have done. I found out when we bought 10 units in Yankton, South Dakota. Abraham Lincoln apparently used to own some of these properties. It was a good deal, so I bought into it and I said, I'm going to be a silent partner. But I found out from the lender that I was the most financially like backed or like strong, sound, thank you. And I was like, oh, that does not make me feel confident. And it's because I was moving so quickly and I didn't do my research. And the property's still fine. It's still doing well. The guys who I'm in it with aren't bad people. And I'm staying, this is not one that I'm getting out of, but I just wish I would have known that I would have had more leverage to.
You could have maybe upped your percentage or something like that. Totally.
Yeah. Yeah. So I would have been able to do a little bit more, but I just didn't know. Until after the fact. And the lender really can't tell me. I should have done my due diligence. But because one thing, because like a business partner who I am not wanting to be in business with anymore has a little bit more financial troubles at home than he perceived himself, which now makes me wonder where that $50,000 is going.
Yeah.
So, and it doesn't make me feel good to assume that, but the numbers just don't make sense. And so, but it's my own fault for not doing my due diligence beforehand. So doing your due diligence. And one thing that I have found that works first is doing a joint venture. And so what I have done with some out-of-state investors is we'll joint venture it. So I do the whole managing, I do everything. They agree to list it with me and they agree to use my investment company to flip it. So I pretty much general contract it, but I hire a general contractor and then I just charge them more. So I charge them a percent to make sure everything is going well and I design it a little bit. But I will then have the money up for the rehab. So for example, they purchase the property. I have the money up for the rehab. I get paid on doing the loan for the rehab. I get paid on profit. I get paid to do my management company and I get paid to list it. So that's how I kind of can tell if they're serious, if they have the money and if they want to do it. So I'll do maybe 2 of those first, and then I'll actually go into an actual partnership, which I did. I have done that with an out-of-state investor and it's worked out fairly well. So I've been happy with, because you're able to vet them and see how they act under stress the first couple times, because flipping, there's always something, a little bit of stress.
Wendy?
One of the hardest things I found in Charleston is finding good contractors, good vendors.
Yep.
What was your experience? How did you make your team? How did you get to the point where you felt confident?
Still getting there. I think I just talk with confidence and I will just make it happen. And if I have to go paint a wall to get it to list the next day, I will, or go caulk trim or go do something to get it to list and make my investors happy so they keep buying properties with me. I will. I'll just get things done. But I've sued a contractor before. I've won. I hired the right lawyer. That lawyer was actually a friend, so that worked out. And he pays me $500 a month until he can pay me completely back for the money he took from me. So I've sued a contractor. I hired somebody to work for me just to mow lawns and do little things around houses, and he lasted 2 weeks. So I think we all kind of run through that, especially right now when contractors don't need us. Because they don't. They're making enough money doing 1 or 2 jobs that they can make 25% more on just because there's nobody else to do it. But I've recently found somebody that shows up, and for example, I tell people now, it's like, I'll pay you this if I'm going to pay them hourly. I pay you this until you show up, and then after you start showing up and doing the work and do a good job, then it goes up. But I was just over promising right away, and so they were taking advantage of me, and I don't like being taken advantage of. So I cut them off pretty quickly. And if that's one thing I can tell you, is if you have a bad contractor, cut them. Do not keep them, cut them immediately, because they can cause you more issues and cost you more money, because it's just going to sit there anyway.
Danielle had a question?
I was going to ask, what's your main source to find investors for these joint ventures?
What is your main source for finding investors for these joint ventures?
So I am still building that investor pool, but I've had really great luck with bigger pockets, and just attaching myself with like-minded people. KWYP, there is a KWYPer who we're under contract with 1 or 2 properties right now to joint venture together. He doesn't want me to say his name yet until we get there. But so just like networking with other KW agents, because some areas, like, I don't know if anybody's from Phoenix, but I wouldn't buy in Phoenix right now. And me personally, I wouldn't buy in Florida. Everybody's buying in Florida, and that's going to be the first place where they stop paying their second mortgages. But that's my negative opinion. But there's just certain areas I wouldn't buy, and there's certain areas that people are really still moving to, like Charleston. And if you can sell, the the one thing that I think fairly, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, Winnie, is educating people on your market and the opportunities within your market. So educating on the developments happening, the estimated rents, what you can purchase, understanding if you know the 1% rule, like knowing your terms, people will then trust you a little bit more than just saying, oh, I got this good deal. Well, why is it a good deal?
So like asserting your knowledge and delivering value maybe through your social media channels or through your sphere, and then people are like, listen, that girl knows her shit, like we'll either work with her or suggest that somebody works with her.
Yeah, and I've had that quite a bit. I have an investor I work with out of California. That's all he does. So he doesn't actually invest himself. He matches investors with realtors across the country. This guy's brilliant. He just goes on realtor.com. I used to get realtor.com leads, and that's how I got started. And he just finds agents that are willing to work hard. And then he charges the investor to connect them with the agent.
That's cool.
And I was like, that's kind of brilliant, but okay.
Yes.
What is the 1% rule?
What's the 1% rule?
Perfect. Yay. Okay. So 1% rule is a very general rule, and it comes with long-term investing. And I'd say it's really hard to find right now in my area. I don't know about your area. So it's not a ride or die rule, but it's okay, maybe I'm going to look into this a little bit more. So say the list price is $300,000, your gross rent's $3,000. So 1% of the list price or the sale price is what you want for your gross rents.
And Celeste had a question?
I did. Have you done any wholesaling, like wholesaling purchasing?
Have-
So how did you get into that?
Wholesaling, Destiny?
Yeah,
Have you done that?
so-
How'd you get into it?
I don't personally wholesale because I have viewpoints on having my license, and I don't want to lose my license.
It's
Ethical
becoming
wholesale-
harder here too.
Yeah. I saw a trading on ethical wholesaling, which I do really like. And it's like, okay, if it's not going to go on the market, they sign an agreement. They know I'm a real estate agent. They sign an agreement saying, I don't want my house to go on the market, and I'm willing to sell it to you for a cash price. Ethical wholesaling. They know that, and you have in terms there that you will be selling this for a profit. You
Okay.
let the seller know that. You have to be completely open. But me purchasing from wholesalers, those sellers decided to sign those agreements with the wholesalers, and I could have helped them, yes, but it's not my job. They're under contract with somebody else. Just like if they were to underlist it with somebody else as well. They decided to hire that person to do that. And for example, I got one under contract last week. So my wholesalers will send me deals because I send them to my investors. And I've had a lot of people ask me, like, how do you get paid when you work with wholesalers? Because, well, I'm not the wholesaler, so I'm not getting paid on the wholesaling part of it. I charge a commission to my clients. And you'd have to see if this would work in your contracts. It works very well in ours. Is I submit an offer on the wholesale. And so whenever I send it to my clients, I actually add my commission on top, and then I send the price to my clients. And I
That's
said,
how it
hey,
would work here too.
and then I said, hey, this is what the price is. This is including my commission. The ones I'm sending wholesale deals to, they understand how it works. But I don't want to give them false hope. And they decide if they want to put an offer in. And then I use actually a for sale by owner agreement. And so I do, and actually, if it's under 150,000, I charge $5,000 commission no matter what, because wholesale deals can be a lot harder. Or sometimes I'm charging $10,000 on this one because the buyer's awful. But he's going to make a ton of money on it. And I know it's a deal. But so I just do a for sale by owner. The wholesalers understand that's what I'm doing. They have no issue with it anymore. At first they were like, how do we do this? And then they kind of figured it out, and we've had no issues with our brokerage or the title companies.
I'm going to switch it up real quick just based on what I know about Destiny. So here's my question. So was this always your plan? Was this just, you were like, I'm just always going to be a real estate investor slash realtor? Like, tell us a little bit about your journey, because it's powerful for me.
Yeah, so I knew I was going to be a real estate agent probably since I was a junior in high school. I decided to go to college because I needed to mature, and I wanted the college experience. I joined a sorority, did the whole thing, went to SDSU, so I'm a jackrabbit, if anybody's ever heard of that, kind of obsessed. But I got my license when I was a junior. I actually then got fired from being a real estate agent on a team. And thought I was never going to do it again. And I just kind of kept chugging along and had some, actually, like, it's kind of crazy when you're on a bad team, it actually can hinder you more than being by yourself and being surrounding yourself with the right people. I've had a lot of hurdles to jump through when it comes to taking opportunities, because I'm a risk taker and I've taken some risks. I always wanted to build wealth in real estate, and I had a goal to have 40 units by 40. And I think I will definitely hit that, as I'm 27 with 38 doors, potentially selling some here soon. But I actually just helped my mom purchase a house. Really what I wanted to do is just give myself a better life that I had growing up, because I really didn't have anything. My mom bought her first house this year. So I'm just trying to share and educate people on building wealth that might not have thought about it before. My grandmother, I think I've maybe noted this, she's buying her first investment property on Tuesday. I got her to buy that. We went to an auction and we just purchased the house. So I'm really just wanting to share and educate with my family who might not have thought as big before. And it's really, I've just become obsessed with it. It's what gives me energy, and it's actually what gets me out of bed to help people want to buy and sell real estate, because I know that's what's going to put in my real estate pocket or my investment pocket.
Well, I love that, because, a lot of people think, oh, you're an investor, you like had money to start with. And it's like, nope. You know what I mean? And your price point being, lower, sure. But I mean, still, 21 years old, like buying a house, period, doesn't, even if it is inexpensive, is still like a really big feat. So
yeah, like the average income in Sioux Falls for a household is $55,000. So we're not like, there's people with money. There's definitely people with money here. And oh, sorry, I'm getting a call, and I think I canceled it just in time, so I think I'm safe. But my mom had $24,000, and that's what we grew up with. I had a single mom making $24,000 a year. And I actually I met with somebody, and they're like, oh, I bet she's just loaded. I pulled up and I bet she had all this stuff just given to her. I'm like, no, I worked really hard. And in my area, we have to sell 90 homes with an average sale price of 150 to 200,000 to really get anything done. But it's just a lot of hard work.
that's awesome. So what are your kind of next steps for your investment? I know you're about to offload some, but what are kind of like the next steps that you're looking for before you hit 30?
Yeah, so what I would like to do is, for example, those lots I was talking about, my goal is to kind of create that investor base that if I find a good deal, I have somebody who can just jump on it. I found I had a portfolio at 1.8 million. I negotiated down to 1.6 for 13 properties here in Sioux Falls. And I am so upset that I wasn't able to close it. I'm still kicking myself, and that has the 2 lots in it. I'm wondering if I can still just buy the lots myself. But that's what I'm really wanting to do. I'm wanting to create that investor pool, not even just for myself, but for my investors that I work with, because it just makes me, I like to close a deal. Like, I'm a realtor, so I like to close it. But then for myself, I really like making my community a better place. So I do a lot of investing into our downtown area. And that's really where I'm spending a lot of my money and wanting to make it safer and more enjoyable for people and more things to do. I'm really wanting to spend most of my time and energies in our downtown.
Yeah, well, you said that you're like, I'm in my dream house, I don't want to leave here. So it's like you want to make sure that like you're surrounded by the most awesome city that you can.
Yeah, and I'm
And-
wanting to get some of the slumlords and crappy people out of the area, just because rents are going up significantly, but people's places just aren't being kept up either. So wanting to kind of take back. I started a real estate management company this year because I found my property manager was not doing the greatest. And so what I'm working on educating people is, if you can be proactive in things that go wrong with your properties, you're not getting the 2 a.m. phone calls. And then we're not charging you for the 2 a.m. runs, and we're not doing the overnight weekend things. So if we can get inspections each year, that $300 for an inspection could save you $500 to $700 to $1,000 on random phone calls that your tenants are going to be calling you throughout the year. So that's what I'm focusing on now, just to create like a better management experience for in-state and out-of-state investors.
That's a really good idea. I remember I went to a real estate investing conference one time and they said, go and just change the air filters once a year so that you can just inspect your property too, to make sure that obviously, that your tenants aren't ruining it, but you can see, maybe they've put off some stuff and you can be like, listen, like, I'll take care of this for you. So,
Yeah, and they're going to stay longer.
yeah. Wendy, you had a question?
Yes, my brain is spinning right now, trying to figure out how you get it all done. So take us through a day in the life or a week in the life, and tell us how you sell 80 properties a year, give a real estate management firm, you've got your own 40 houses. How in the world do you do that?
Did you hear all that, Destiny? There's your superpower. I asked you what that was. You're like,
Yeah.
there it is.
Okay, maybe that is my superpower. So, and it's kind of funny that you ask that, because I have my showing assistant now, and he's fantastic. I love him, but he's definitely a different personality than me. Just doesn't necessarily work as fast. But I can't be upset about it. So I was at a training, and I think it was a Jeff Glover lead up event. It's all about like building teams and recruiting and that type of thing. And Taylor Kerrigan, I don't know if you guys know who these people are, but she made somebody made a comment of, not everybody's plate is as big as yours. And so that is what I've had to really realize, is I have a pretty big plate and I can handle a lot. And I can compartmentalize different things. I still have a social life sometimes. Do I have a dating life? No, but I get to spend time with my friends, but that's also how I generate my business, is through networking. So, and that's what I've been able to do, to still see my friends. But I'm still trying to figure out how I can do it too, because I'm trying to teach other people how to do it. But just being able to compartmentalize, time block, and if it's what gives you energy, you find time for it. And investing gives me energy. There are things I've been very honest. There are things I sucked at, and I still suck at a lot of things, but I'm still learning every day, and I'll just keep getting better. So while I keep taking them on, I'm learning what I need to take off my plate and how I can improve every day, but I'm still not doing it perfectly. So if you guys have any tips,
I think also having the cyberbacker that you really trust. And I mean, is it okay if I share about your cyberbacker thing? So Destiny's also investing in cyberbacker, and I guess something like that, because she obviously, trust that process so much. And then she has director of ops too, and some agents. So a cyberbacker is a virtual assistant. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I have one cyberbacker, and she kind of is a jack of all trades right now. But I have her because I'm really bad at budgeting, creating spreadsheet. I can create the spreadsheet, but I'm really bad at the follow through. And so I will create the spreadsheet and how I want it. And then I send her other things like, hey, can you fill this in for me? And I actually sent her all my personal bills. And so she actually keeps track of my personal budgets as well. So we're still growing from there. What I'm learning is how to delegate better to her, because I just want to do it. Yeah. But delegation and a cyberbacker, 100%, it's become way more affordable, and they're extremely resourceful.
That's awesome. I'm going to ask one more question. 10 10 years down the road, what's your vision? What do you see for Destiny, your investment properties, your life, all that stuff?
Yeah, so 10 years is kind of scary for me. But so what I've been actually talking about is doing some sort of expansion throughout South Dakota, because Rapid City, if anybody's ever heard of it, that's where Mount Rushmore is. It's really far away from me. It's like 5 hours away, super close to Mount Rushmore. It's actually the fastest growing small city right now in America, because I think everybody's tired of Denver and is moving to Rapid City. And so what does that tell me? Opportunity. And if I already know the South Dakota market, why am I not there? Right. And I was just in Deadwood, which is like in the same area a couple weeks ago. So I want to expand there, and potentially some other smaller areas in South Dakota. So I'd like to expand and then kind of really step out of helping people buy and sell, and build my team strong enough so they have the foundation to do that, where I'm just focusing on investments. Because that's, like I said, is what gives me energy, and kind of being like a project manager for all the investment properties, and having my own as well.
Awesome. Any questions for Destiny? Those are all the questions that I have. Hopefully this was helpful, but any follow-up questions you guys have?
Want to meet you when you come.
Everybody wants to meet you when you come.
Yeah.
When are you going to be here, Destiny?
The 1st through the 5th.
Okay.
I don't know what Jay has planned for me. I don't know if Jay probably has nothing planned. So we're
Probably
on
not.
an adventure.
No. Well, I mean, I'm sure you'll be here some days. So Jay Kennedy, you're staying with him, I assume, or hanging out with him.
Yeah. And I texted Trad last night too. So,
Okay.
but yeah, I'll be around, guys. I'm here for it. I was also talking with Winnie introduced me to someone, and I was working on, like $150 million portfolio. I don't even know. Hopefully that's still in the works here somewhere.
Yeah.
That'll be a good one.
Cool. Any other questions? Was this helpful?
Totally. Okay, one more question.
Okay, we have another question.
So you've been able to make the most gains, it sounds like, by finding the right commercial lender to help you.
So a lot of your gains have been because you've been able to find the right commercial lender, and I know that you mentioned a local commercial lender, and you can only have like maximum number of loans amounts and things like that, not with commercial. But with personal, you have maximum numbers, correct?
Yeah, and right now with personal loans, those rates are higher than commercial.
So finding that commercial lender, how do you do that?
What are some of the things that you look for in finding a good commercial lender?
I found mine taking tequila shots at the bar, but sorry, that's a bad joke.
Perfect. Okay.
What I would do is pretty much talk to, I'd say 5, because it's even more than residential. You're going to want to find the ones that aren't as strict. So there are some commercial lenders that are very strict in what they lend. You're going to want to look at the values of the bank, because that is going to matter what they lend on. It is not backed by Fannie or Freddie, so they don't have the box that they have them in, but they have the box on what the bank is willing to lend on. Does that make sense? And so like we have one bank that will not lend to anything that really sells alcohol. Like it's a small business that sells alcohol. They will, but they won't like to, or casinos. They're very specific what they want to lend on. While this is like residential real estate, it still really matters what their values are, and what their rates are. And their fees.
So do you feel like maybe like almost like a larger local bank and then finding the person?
Mine only has 3 branches and is out of the middle of Esteline, South Dakota, like population 400. But what I like about that is he can go directly to the president.
Oh, okay. There's
more of a direct lineage rather than like, okay, I have to ask my friend who has to ask this friend who has to ask like too many people in the pot. But actually, if it's really small, as long as you're not trying to do a $5 million deal, the really small one should be able to do it. If you're looking for large, like over $1 million, then you're going to want to go to like a medium to a larger bank, because then they would have to get different approval if it's over $1 million. Usually it's over $1 million or over 1.5.
And what are most of your deals like capped at? Like, what's the most expensive deal that you've kind of like been involved with? Or
My
like,
7 townhomes. So we bought those for 110 a piece.
okay,
So we got them for 770. I actually pay myself. One thing I will tell you guys, always charge your commission. Always. When you're representing partnerships. I bought them with my 2 lender friends, actually my commercial lender and my residential lender. They're 2 different banks, but we're all friends. And we purchased them. And I said, I was like, I'm going to charge my commission on us purchasing them. And then I will charge commission on us selling them. Because that is, I have to pay my assistant. I have to pay.
yeah, it's your job.
It's my job. Like, I'm not going to discount my job. And I didn't do that in the beginning. I did, but I didn't do it as well. And I wasn't as straightforward, and I haven't had as much pushback.
Well, you
And
said at the
so-
beginning, like when you speak with confidence, like that, it definitely, I'm sure that's a big part of it.
Yeah. And like you speak, like, you're like, I have to pay, I usually say I have to pay Becky, and everybody loves Becky. She's my director of ops. And they're like, okay, you have to pay Becky. That's fine. But it's like, I'm not spending my daily, you get paid on the daily, right? I'm spending my daytime getting these deals done. So always take your commission, even if you have to increase the price. But yeah, we bought them for 770. And then for 110 a unit, they're all individually parceled. We're gonna be able to sell them for about 190 a unit.
That's awesome. Well, cool. Well, when Destiny is in town next week, I'm sure, or the week after, whenever that is.
4th of July.
Yeah, 4th of July weekend. I'm sure she'll be here. Be sure and say hello. Obviously, any of your South Dakota referrals should absolutely go to Destiny. Destiny, is there a way for everyone to contact you? What is your contact info?
It is destiny@kw.com. So DESTINIE @kw.com. So it's pretty easy. Or you can find me on Facebook. Or Bigger Pockets. If you guys are on Bigger Pockets, please just request me to be, I don't even know what it's called in Bigger Pockets.
Yeah, connect on Bigger Pockets.
Connect
something
with
like
me
that.
on Bigger Pockets. Yeah, let me know if you have any questions. I love talking investments. I'm doing another small session on Friday, and that one's just an investment mastermind. So just people, and I'll be talking about different properties, because I've been getting a lot from my wholesalers lately. So I've been just sending them out to all my out-of-state investor friends to see who wants to get some help and do a deal.
Cool. Is that through YP, or is that something that we could send out?
You can send it out, Winnie, that's fine.
Okay, cool. We'll get that info.
It's
and
mostly
send it
gonna be
out.
YP people, but maybe
Yeah.
we can get more YPers.
Yeah, we love all the YP loves everybody. Cool. All right. Well, thank you, Destiny, so much. Thank you guys for attending. Here, let me actually.
I was like, I have no idea how many people are here.
I was like, you
Well,
really,
thank you
like, there's
guys.
actually like a crew here, so.
I was like, I could hear
Not
people
just
back
talking to
there.
me the whole time. But thank you so much, Destiny. We'll follow up and get that info to send out to everybody.
Awesome. Thank you so much, guys. Have a good day.
Bye. Bye.